Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Alyssa Tracey. I am Director of the International Trade Program for the MEDC. Joining me today is Sonja Johnson, Executive Director of the Van Andel Global Trade Center at Grand Valley State University. Today, we're going to take a closer look at some of the work that Sonja and her team do to help Michigan businesses thrive globally and right here in the state. We'll also share an exciting announcement regarding the Summer Summit, which is coming up next month. If you have any questions for us or comments you would like to add to the discussion, please feel free to share them in the comments and we'll answer as many of those as we can. We definitely want to hear from you, so looking forward to some good questions. First, Sonja, let's start off by talking about the Van Andel Global Trade Center. Can you tell us a little bit about where the Trade Center is located and who you work with?
Great. Well, it's glad to be here with you. So the Van Andel Global Trade Center is located in West Michigan in beautiful downtown Grand Rapids in the Seidman College of Business at Grand Valley State University's campus. And we cover the entire state of Michigan. So I think in this virtual world that we're all kind of transitioning back from, we're all excited to be back in the office, and we're rolling that up to be fully back to normal in August. So we're looking forward to it.
That's great. I know we are still working from home, clearly, as you can see my living room behind me, but looking forward to getting back in the office and back in person with some of our favorite partners. More on the Van Andel Global Trade Center, can you tell us a little bit more about how your team helps Michigan small businesses export more effectively? You're one of our key partners in helping businesses access new markets. And I know that your team has been really busy this year providing trainings on a number of topics. What kind of topics have been the most popular, and what kind of support do you provide?
So it depends on the business that we're working with. We offer a variety of services to help companies from small and medium-sized startups to large multinationals. How they work with us is varied depending on their experience in exporting. And again, we start out with the basic. Do you have like a strategic plan? If you don't, let's get started on that. There's a lot of resources across our partner network that we can get you started. We really feel that that foundation of understanding and learning and then setting that strategic direction for their export growth is paramount, and them to have sustainable continued success. So how we've really been working with companies the last year, we had to quickly change over how we were delivering our technical training. So we did that virtually online. And with the support of Michigan Economic Development Corporation, we were able to do that very quickly. They approved how we work together under our contract with MEDC to be able to deliver that online. We just weren't able to go either on site and work with a smaller group of businesses where we'll customize the training to fit their industry and what they're doing, to a more general overview of basics of exporting. Really, I would say holistically over the last year, trade agreements and that USMCA has been really difficult for Michigan businesses to get their arms around, because there is some transition from NAFTA over to USMCA and on documents and how they qualify.
Absolutely. We're now just over a year of USMCA coming into effect, which is that new updated free trade agreement between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. As you've seen some companies come to you for support, have you seen any trends in the types of requests that have come through? What kind of challenges or even successes that companies have been experiencing as a result of this new trade agreement?
So with USMCA specifically, it's been in place under the NAFTA regulations since 1994. So it's a long time. Under the old trade agreement under NAFTA, it had a standardized form that was used for filling out the paperwork, and people have become very accustomed to that. A lot of the changes with USMCA and the intent of USMCA is to have flexibility. So there's no longer a standardized form, which is easier for some businesses because they can use their manufacturing system, their ERP system, more easily to adapt and provide all the components required to substantiate the free trade agreement. and not have to justify in a specific fields of a form. But it was a big learning curve. I think the trends in the industry most affected by the changes with USMCA have been those within the automotive sector. Just for an example, the automotive categories of the harmonized tariff schedule that cover all the different automotive components and parts that go into a finished vehicle. They're spread out all over where they would be in the past typically find all the country of origin requirements for that free trade agreement, USMCA, under one section. And now they kind of have to move around and pick around a little bit to find out which country of origin rule they have to apply, how they actually have to process and look at the materials going into their part that they're selling to the OEM automotive manufacturers. So they have to look at what they produce internally, what their internal costs are. It's a lot more work for them and a little more challenging for them to get everything set up and how they would actually be able to substantiate a USMCA claim today. That's different than what NAFTA required. So it's a pretty steep learning curve for the automotive industry. A few other industries were a little more challenged as well, but they were able to adapt pretty quickly. I think throughout the calendar year of 2020, with the USMCA launch in July, it really quickly, they were able to adapt. Still some ongoing questions, but it's something that they're a very resilient industry, as we all know here in Michigan. They do what they need to do to keep moving forward. So it's exciting to see that.
Absolutely. And how would companies get involved if they had questions on USMCA or how their business may or may not be adhering to the new framework? How can they get in touch with you? Do you have on-demand support, or are there scheduled times of support? What's the best way for them to get integrated and get started?
So a lot of it depends on where they're at. If they just want some basic general understanding of USMCA, maybe they haven't been exporting directly to Mexico, maybe they have been shipping it to Texas, the southern border, or maybe to Detroit, and then having their OEM customer take it over the border. And maybe they say, well, maybe it's time for us to start taking that on and we can take it through to their plant in Mexico or Canada. So we offer public trainings, both virtual and in person. Those will be kicking off in October of this year. And anybody can go out to our website and look for our events and training at vagtc.org, which is Van Andel Global Trade Center.org, and take a look at our public offerings. And then because of our great partnership with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, we're able to offer on-site customized training to a limited number of companies that qualify to come on site or do virtual training specific to their industry and customize it to their business. So we have a lot of flexibility in what we do. And we also have the opportunity to do an export project with businesses. Maybe they've got a great domestic process set up, but they've never shipped internationally before. And how do they fill in those gaps with processes and procedures to know that they're meeting all the export compliance requirements? That's where our team will come in and take a look at their existing processes and procedures, help them develop anything that would need to be added to those existing procedures to be able to meet an export sale. And so that's where the customization and our partnership with the MEDC really comes into full play and help that company out. We just started with a company that didn't understand what Incoterms they needed to use when they were selling into Mexico. So to get that baseline understanding, so they can get those export sales to Mexico to hopefully grow with a couple next couple years. So,
yeah, your team offers such an integrated set of services to companies, and I know we've touched a bit on the trainings, but I wanted to shift a little bit more on the other services that you provide, including the worldwide credit reports. That's not something that that companies really know about, and it's perhaps not something that they would know to request. So can you tell us a little bit more about how these worldwide credit reports are used, what kinds of companies can benefit from them, maybe how quickly your team can get those delivered, and anything else you might want to add?
Yeah, no, the Worldwide Credit Reports is something that the Van Andel Global Trade Center has been offering since 2005. And it's really a tool to help Michigan exporters understand their overseas customers so they can hopefully, if they can't get a letter of credit or they are opposed to doing a letter of credit and they want to offer open terms of payment to their customers, to be able to validate that that customer is sound and secure, just as they would have done on Bradstreet report here in the U.S. And they do the request. It's an online form, and they can get information, specific to what they're trying to find out about that customer. What would really allow them to make the business decision to allow payment terms to that customer? And it really is a great tool. It gives a summary. It's done in country on an expedited basis. Once the request is completed, it takes about 2 business days to complete. And again, that would be an expedited in certain countries where the credit report person investigating it will do that in country. And then they'll report that back to us, and then we will actually go ahead and finalize that report and get that back out to the business here in Michigan that was requesting it. It also gives the business an opportunity to ask some additional questions on the finance of that company. Not all countries report financials the same way that we do here in the US. And so it gives them an even playing field to make good decisions to offer credit and not overextend themselves where there might be some opportunity for, a non-payment. It also is required for the United States Export-Import Bank financing programs is to have a worldwide credit report. And so if they can already get that and kind of analyze that company, if they do get accounts receivable insurance through the United States Export-Import Bank, again, it's insuring those foreign receivables, and it also helps EXIM make that decision here in the United States to, insure those foreign receivables. It makes them compete more globally against their global competition that maybe will offer terms of sale, net 15 or net 30 days on that export going to them. And it just allows our Michigan business and exporters to compete globally.
Well, and we're all about trying to improve the ability of our Michigan companies to compete globally. There's been so many changes over this past year, but I know that your team has really worked to help evolve and adapt to ensure that we're having companies in a good position to take advantage of the changing market and the changing opportunities. We always like to hear success stories. And I know, given the long history of Van Andel Global Trade Center, you've had a lot of companies that have tapped into your program. And as a result, we're able to grow into new international markets more confidently. Is there a particular type of company that you work with, either size or industry or export level, new or experienced, where you tend to see more success stories develop, or are they across the board?
They're definitely across the board, Alyssa, from the small companies, family owned. A good example is a small Western company, family owned business in Hopkins called Seabite Products. They began working with us in 2005. They attended some basics of export training programs. They realized some of the equipment they manufacture, which is in the waste management and water filtration machinery that they produce here in Michigan, were ending up in other countries around the world because they were getting contact for service for a machine. And like, wait a minute, we didn't sell that. We didn't send that over to, China or wherever they were, getting the contact from. How are they ending up there? And in 2005, when they first started working with us, they only had 5% of their sales were export. And then they've attended, different events that we have. We try to do a lot of networking on our in-person events. And so with them, they were able to, through our partnerships and our network of contacts in the ecosystem, the global ecosystem, to find some other partners that were able to sell their products around the world and establish, a sales strategy in different countries, but Europe and Germany and in Australia through these Michigan contacts they made. And now this year in 2021, they're expecting to have, double their export sales growth. And this is, again, factoring in the pandemic, which definitely slowed them down, and increasing their global sales to 20%. So a small family-owned business having that much growth and and now actually they taught our German culture program because they learned so much about the German culture being over there and visiting. They actually went with us to China on a trade mission that we did back in 2007, because again, they were very curious, how did our equipment end up here in China? And they didn't actually talk to the customers they were visiting when they were with us on our trade mission, but they actually, took a look at what's been working for you? Where have you been having issues using our equipment? And what ended up happening, it was very ironic, while we were on our plane back from China to Michigan, they got a purchase order from that company that they were visiting for 5 machines. And so it was pretty amazing because it was a marketing person on our trade mission with us. And again, because they were really interested in how the machine was performing, because they didn't install it, they didn't have installation instructions, so they had some recommendations to make, and they never once talked about, cost of machine or will you buy another one. And I think just building that relationship and, a couple of days of meetings over there in China really solidified it. So that really enforced their belief that, hey, we can do this, but we're a very small company. How do we do it strategically? And that's where they worked with MEDC. They've been fortunate enough to be able to receive some of the STEP grants, the State Trade Expansion Program grants, through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. And that allowed them to get some services that we perform. They received an international marketing report from us. And again, that information helped them build their strategy and develop that growth pattern. So it's been something fun to watch grow. And that's just one example. A larger multinational company may work with us a little differently. We may be their in-house training tool for them. Rather than having to do it with their staff, they have them come over here locally in Michigan and then get their training here instead of having to get on a plane to go to DC or, California or Chicago. They can get that training right here in Michigan.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's lovely to see some of these unintended benefits and unintended consequences of just exploring what new markets are available and having these in-person events where you're meeting new people and you're developing those relationships that lead to new and unexpected international markets. I know that so many of us have been working from home for well over a year now, and we're all looking forward to that human interaction again and having those accidental conversations with new people that could lead to new opportunities. And your team is working on some plans for an in-person event next month. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Summer Summit, keynote speaker perhaps, and any other details you could share?
Yeah, absolutely. We're really excited to offer our first in-person event on August the 11th. It'll be held out in Allendale at Grand Valley State's Alumni House. And it'll be in the backyard patio and grounds. So we've got a lawn. We were planning on doing some fun interactive games to allow for further networking. But we'll kick it all off with our keynote speaker over lunch. And I'm really excited to announce that Petco and Macarena Griffith will be our keynote speaker. Now, she's the manager of international logistics and compliance at Petco, and she has 10 years of trade experience. And she's going to talk about what kind of the company has experienced since 2018 when the additional tariffs started going into place, and how they've had to shift their strategy globally to meet the needs of customers around the world and work with customs on these additional tariffs. And she's going to talk specifically about some duty savings projects that she was involved in to allow the company to recoup some of the additional duties they had to pay, and how that strategy fed into the overall mission of Petco. And now we're actually really excited. Not only is MEDC one of our partners for the event, is we have the West District Export Council as our title sponsor. We have a food sponsor at Varnum, and we have a drink summer cocktail sponsor, Sound Off Signal. along with LRI and Plant Moran. So the afternoon after the keynote speaker, we'll have a couple of interactive networking breaks, and then we'll have roundtable discussions on various topics led by our sponsor organization. I'm really curious to hear, now that Brexit has been in place, what have we learned? What things can businesses take advantage of with the Brexit situation? What has gone well, what has not? And that conversation is going to be led by Plant Moran, and we have a lot of other topics to cover of the afternoon. And then we'll conclude with an hour of games, and there's a current contest going on right now to get a free ticket to enter the event. And all you have to do is post a picture of you and your favorite pet, whether that be an iguana or a fish, cat, dog, horse, whatever you've got. Post your pictures on social media, and we'll be doing a drawing for a free ticket to enter the event. And throughout the event, it'll be raffle tickets. Our global advisory board gives us, donates gifts for us to raffle out at the event. It'll be really fun. And really what started the event was, we used to do a golf outing, and it gets harder and harder for businesses to get away even for a half day of golf. Not everybody's a golfer, but it's our annual fundraiser, and the funds that we raise at the Summer Summit goes towards us hiring additional students at the Trade Center. We hire and pay for all our students, and we've hired 56 students over our history. Really excited. We have 2 international students that will be studying with us for a semester. And they're here from Switzerland. And so it'll be really interesting to see how, as they're getting their MBA and earning those credits, they'll be participating in the Summer Summit as well. So that's really what it really does, is an opportunity to learn about current topics involved in global sales, and then networking with other people in the industry and having a little bit of fun along the way.
Awesome. Well, I think one of my favorite things about this Zoom meeting format that we've all been used to is seeing everyone's pets come in the background from time to time. And we did have a question that just came through about that picture with your pet on social media. Where should people be posting a picture with them and their pet in order to enter into that contest?
So they just need to post it on the Van Andel Global Trade Center Instagram. And through the URL on our flyer, they can go on our main website and click on that, and it'll give them instructions step by step of how to post that on Instagram.
Awesome, thank you. I think that's a fantastic way to just reach people at where they are home and loving their pets, and trying to get these coworkers out into the public. So I think it's going to be super fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of these images come through. Really looking forward, most importantly, to this Summer Summit, seeing you in person, seeing your team, and being able to hear from Petco, Plant Moran, and some of the other sponsors on their insights into global trade. How it's evolved over the course of the past year, and I think more importantly, what they can project going forward, and how our businesses can be better prepared to compete over the course of the next year plus. Sonja, it's been fantastic to connect with you today, and really appreciated some of the questions that have come through today. I hope to see you at the Summer Summit. Click on the link below right here to learn more about the Van Andel Global Trade Center. And you'll find on that page information about the Summer Summit and instructions on how to enter into the contest. So Sonja, thank you so much for joining today. Really appreciate your partnership, and appreciate your time during our live stream.
Great. Glad to be with you, and hope to see everybody at the Summer Summit August 11th.
All right, August 11th, we will be there, and hope that some of our audience members joining today will be there too. Thank you so much, Sonja.